Coming up on Cheap Ass Movie Review, I find a heck of a deal, quarter DVDs at my local pawn shop. Sometimes when you're going on your cheap movie hunts, the best place to look is a pawn shop. One of our local pawn shops happens to be moving, and they have all their DVDs on sale for 25 cents each. Now, are you going to have to put in some work? Yes, I had to clean every stinking one of these, and some of them were stinking. I ain't going to lie to you. They had a lot of dirt and grime on them. Some of them have been in the back room for years, and they're just trying to get rid of stuff because they're moving. So, you know, you got to do that. But really had to clean some of these up, and some of them I couldn't use the cases, had to get some cases, but just a ton of movies. We're going to go over some of them so I don't bore you to tears, but here's just a few. I'll try to pick the highlights. How's that? Now, going through that list, one of the movies, I've just been watching A24 horror movies that I picked up, and going through each one, and me and my family, my son come downstairs and was like, let's watch a horror movie. So we ended up watching Heredity, which you need to watch that. That's a funky witch movie, but pretty good with A24. But one of the trailers before that was for Room with Brie Larson, and it really intrigued me about that film, and I wanted to pick that up and happened to get it for 25 cents. Back in the day, before VCRs and all that stuff, you would find movies on TV and you would sit down and you would have to watch it. And two of the ones that stand out to me is Mr. Limpet was one of them, and also Ghost of Mr. Chicken. Now, if Ghost of Mr. Chicken come on and it was like midnight, you were still going to sit down and watch it. Your parents were going to let you watch it because it was so hard to find that movie and to see it, and it is such a great film. Another one like that my parents would always point out when it came on was The Long, Long Trailer. And I have a little bit of a history with The Long, Long Trailer, not crazy long, but my parents loved it. It was one of those films, it's Lucy and Ricky in a full color movie at their heyday when they were together, and it is a great movie. It's actually what Robin Williams' movie RV was based on, is basically a remake of this, and it's just a hilarious movie, lots of fun, but to find it for a quarter, yeah, I'm buying it. Also, other ones that stand out, Les Miserables from the 50s. Now, this is the 50s cut. I mean, Les Miserables is a classic story, Victor Hugo, Jean Valjean, you know, the musical and all that. This is not a musical. This is a straight-up telling of the story, and one of the greatest actors at the time, Jean Gabin, starred as Jean Valjean in this, and it's just a classic film, but it's kind of hard to find, and it's kind of hard to find on DVD. It's a quarter. Also kind of went for a dive in the Rodriguez verse. That would be Desperado for a quarter, and Machete for a quarter. Yes, I will get them for a quarter. Also on the same vein, Reservoir Dogs for a quarter. 2-disc special artisan edition. Too cool. Some of the Westerns I picked up, two from John Wayne. We have Chisholm and Hondo. Hondo's a good movie, even though it was filmed to be in 3D, and there's not a 3D version. I'm going to have to see if DVD-R Party has Hondo in 3D, because I'd like to see it actually in the 3D. I saw it on TV back in the day. Also, in the Western vein, we have One-Eyed Jacks with Marlon Brando, directed by Marlon Brando, and starring him and oh God, what's his name? Carl Malden. Carl Malden, both from Streetcar Named Desire, which is kind of odd. But and Carl Malden kind of playing a bandito kind of guy, which is kind of totally against type. On the more modern side, Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan, so can't beat it. On the horror side of things, horror 10-pack, some of the movies are good, some of them are trash, some of them are good trash. That's just basically what it is. We have Hellraiser, Halloween. We've got like some of the bad entries from each one of those, and then a couple of good things. Prophecy 2, things like that. Not bad for horror. The Nun, more modern horror. Conjuring, looking forward to it. Also, all 4 Blade movies. Well, actually 3 Blade movies, and the premiere of the TV show Blade, which was on Spike TV back in the day. Do you remember that? Just recently watched it. It wasn't too bad. Also, The House at the End of the Street, another great horror film. Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds, which actually he's pretty serious in this, and it was a good version. I enjoyed it. Rob Zombie's Halloween in a 2-disc set, and which I did like, and I got to interview Malcolm McDowell pretty close to that time period, he had just, this was out in theaters and was doing really well, and he had done a local religious film, and I got to interview him about that, but I got to thank him for his turn as Dr. Loomis in this. He was really good. Also, a special edition of Silence of the Lambs, which I know it's kind of an odd cover. It's like, it's not really the poster, but it's kind of the poster, and it's kind of whited out. But, you know, these are pawn shop pickups. But the coolest thing about it is it's got dinner cards from Dr. Lecter, like what he would be having for dinner. So, with fava beans. Now that we've talked Halloween, how about Christmas? Picked up Santa Claus Conquers the Martians with Pia Zadora, which that's kind of cool to have. Also a sing-along of the Rankin and Bass films. It's not the films themselves, but is a sing-along of the greatest songs from that with a little sing-along bouncing words at the bottom. Moving on to Blu-ray. There was only like 3 Blu-rays that I picked up. One of them was Superman the movie. Now, if you'll note this cover, it's a cover I picked up offline. Somebody had printed it on, had made it on Pinterest and made it look like the old Warner Brothers VHS cases, and I just thought that was super cool. It didn't have a case. It didn't have artwork, so I thought that was quite handy and was very appreciative of that. Also, the movie War with Jason Statham and Jet Li, and about them warring off against each other. Then also Species, which is not a bad Alien ripoff, and it's kind of fun. So the first one especially, the other ones not so much. Going back to the beginning of DVD, snapper cases. The Devil's Advocate, which isn't a bad movie, with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. And also The Spy Who Shagged Me, Austin Powers. This is by far my favorite Austin Powers film out of all of them. It was the best one. Then on top of that, A Mighty Wind. So a couple of comedies, but all of them in snapper cases. Good old snapper first generation DVD cases. I'm old. Looking to more modern fare, I picked up Monster Hunter, The Hitman's Bodyguard, and Rampage. All of those a quarter. A couple of other films that I've been wanting to see and just hadn't seen, Eastern Promises with Viggo Mortensen, and also The Fountain with Hugh Jackman. Both of them only a quarter. Now the grand total of all of this was DVDs were a quarter, Blu-rays were 50 cents, so it all come up to a grand total of $9.75 total, so for what I got. But quite a few titles, and was quite happy with it, and hope the pawn shop enjoys their new location.